Hey guys, it's Danny Elliott. Welcome back to the show. Thank you for joining me today. So today I want to talk to you about this report that millions of baby boomers are refusing to leave their assets to their children and what it means for the U.S. economy. So an astounding $84 trillion is expected to change hands as Americans pass their wealth on to younger generations. It's called the Great Wealth Transfer. And the central government in Washington is hoping to take it. I mean, younger generations are hoping to take part in it. Sorry, guys. A December 2024 survey found that boomers mostly plan to spend every last dollar before the day they die. In fact, 45% of millionaire baby boomers want to keep their money to spend in their lifetime, compared to just 15% of wealthy millennials and 11% of wealthy Gen Xers. They're going to keep it all for themselves after they've already passed on the $37 trillion in debt to the Zoomers and the Millennials. Now they're going to take it all and spend it before they die, which is, of course, they're right. I mean, they have the money. You guys aren't getting any money. Just want to let you know, there's going to be nothing left for you, Zoomers and Millennials. You better just find a way to get a better salary, because, you know, that's your only hope, I guess. You're not going to get this inheritance. And, you know, the media is watching this very closely because this is going to have broad financial impacts to the IRS. I mean, the economy. Sorry. Despite making up only 21% of the U.S. population, baby boomers hold half of the nation's wealth. Yet it's not a given that their money will be passed down to future generations. A 2024 survey found that only 22% of baby boomers intend to leave an inheritance to younger generations. 40% of baby boomers haven't even put together a will yet. So there's a philosophy, and it's called die with zero. Have you heard of this? Well, this article talks about it. The die with zero philosophy, which has people spending all of their wealth within their lifetimes, has grown in popularity as baby boomers are less focused on leaving inheritances than maintaining their own standard of living. As purchasing power has plummeted following the currency devaluation of the last several years, which sent food and shelter inflation out of control, boomers are grappling with the knock-on effects of government spending. Older Americans are raiding their savings to keep up with the cost of living. They're tapping into their IRAs. You know, they need the money because the insurance premiums are up, the property taxes are up, you know? All of the governments are assessing us at higher and higher real estate values so that they can take more and more tax revenue. If baby boomers continue to face higher living costs, millennials and Zoomers may never achieve financial stability. 32% of millennials and 38% of Zoomers expect to receive an inheritance. 59% of millennials and 54% of Zoomers say the inheritance is critical or highly critical to their financial security and their ability to live a quality life in an increasingly expensive country to retire in. A majority of younger Americans can't afford to buy a home on their U.S. salary without an inheritance to use as a down payment. Yes. I mean, has anybody noticed that the only people buying houses this spring are people 60 and over? Anybody? All cash deals, anybody? No insurance required? Any realtors out there? Leave me a comment below. But there's no one buying houses under 60 without the bank of mom and dad dropping in $200,000 for a down payment. You can't buy a house on an average salary in the United States. Now you have high prices and high interest rates and a dead real estate market. The real estate market is so boring that I started a YouTube show so I can come on here and talk to you guys about real estate and, you know, society and life. But, I mean, there's nothing going on in real estate right now because the price and the holding costs are through the roof and nobody can afford it. As of 2022, the median retirement savings balance among Americans under 35 was roughly $19,000. Yikes. While it was just $45,000 for those between the ages of 35 and 44. Also, millennials and Zoomers alike continue to be saddled with student loan debt, making it harder to save for retirement or to buy a house. Now, I just want to go on this for a second because weren't we told by all of our boomer parents that a college degree was the ticket to a good paying job? I mean, didn't we all rush out there and get our college degree? We got our bachelor's in science in a field so that we were skilled and we had the education. That's what we were sold from our boomer parents. We were sold the dream of get a good college degree from the best university, and it doesn't matter what the student debt's going to be because your salary is going to pay it all back. Like, I'm sure every doctor daughter or son was told this, right? Your dad and your mom wanted you to go be a doctor. And then, okay, so you ran up hundreds of thousands in medical school bills. And now you're in some hospital system where you have to work 60, 70, 80 hours a week, right? You're on call at all hours of the day and night. And you're paying, up to 55% taxes, depending on what state you live in, on that salary. And then you got to pay all of these other costs that we just talked about for your housing and your food. And at the end of all of that, what's left over for you, right? After all of those years of medical school, after all of that debt you took out, in addition to all of these taxes and all of these holding costs for your house and all of this food that you have to pay for, and not to mention your partner and your children, like what about them? You have to pay for all of their bills too. So at the end of the day, what is left over after all of these debts are satisfied? These generations, depending on inheritances that may not be coming, are in for a rude awakening financially, says the article. 35% of Americans do not plan to discuss the transfer of wealth with their families. So millennials and zoomers won't know the financial position of their family members until the hour of their death. And that's the end. But, yeah, I mean, how many families didn't talk about money growing up? I know my family didn't. We didn't talk about money. And I know for a damn sure that you guys didn't get a financial education in your government schools, either in elementary school, junior high school, or college. I mean, nobody talks about finances. Nobody talks about financial education. Nobody talks about, you need to earn more than you spend, right? We just spend and then we figure it out later. That's how the U.S. works. That's how the government works, the Congress, all of your local governments, your state governments. They just spend. And then they figure out how big a deficit they have every year. And then they just say, well, we're just going to raise taxes. That's how it works. Like, you need to start from a place of what can we afford to do and how can we figure out how to pay for it. But we never do that here. We always just say, we need to spend on all of these BS programs that we have, that we've inherited over the last 60 years of government expansion. It's now an unlimited federal government. It now gets bigger every single year. And honestly, that's why this article was written. What does it say in the beginning? $84 trillion is expected to change hands. What's the debt in the United States? That's $37 trillion. Why do you think they really wrote that article? Because the U.S. government wants that $84 trillion. They got to figure out how they're going to get it. That's why they wrote that article. Because the government is the biggest stakeholder in this country. It's no longer we the people. It's we the government decide what to do with all of the money inside this district that's called the United States of America. Any money that moves around in here, any money that you make, any money that you get or you transfer, anything you buy or sell, the government wants a piece of that action. So when this $84 trillion changes hands, they want to take as much of that as they can get. So, this is just the continuation of the hollowing out of the American middle class and lower class, And that's why I've been talking about moving. That's why I've been talking about divorcing the IRS forever and renouncing my citizenship once I can get a new citizenship somewhere else that doesn't have a completely bloated and tyrannical federal government that wants to take everything we have. That's why I talk about this, because if you're a millennial or a zoomer and you're relying on an inheritance to be able to make a down payment on an average house, I mean, that doesn't look good for the future, especially with the cost of everything going up. Like, if you look at the way the costs have gone up over the last 5 years, and then you continue that trend out forward the next 15, the next 20, the next 30 years, you got a big problem on the horizon in the United States. If you're living in the U.S., earning U.S. dollars and spending U.S. dollars inside the United States, you got a problem. I'm going to collect foreign income, live somewhere else where the cost of living is 80% less than here, and I don't have to worry about what the central government decides to do with this country, because I know what it's going to do. I see what they want to do. I see everything they've done to the workforce. I see everything they've done as far as, destroying the labor market with all of these different programs, let's just say. I mean, basically like 1/3 of the country is not allowed to work because of the way they were born, because of what color they are and what gender they are. And, that's not the country my grandparents grew up in, but that's the country we got right now. And I know that my talents and skills are valuable, but just not here, because the U.S. is not, it's not the place for me. It just isn't. But you guys let me know what you think about this in the comments section. I appreciate you watching today. And, give the video a like. If you think somebody else would like to see this video, share the video with somebody. And, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell. Again, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next episode. I'm Danny Elliott.